So, there's this chapter in this book I read which says, say no to the good and yes to the great. So it might feel like, hey, I'm pushing off all these projects because the people around me, they're not approaching me because they might think like you're like arrogant for branding so well or looking so professional. And that's okay. Like I said earlier in the video, you lose 10 of these mediocre projects, but you get 2 really good projects for that year. And those become just lines in your resume that no one can ever take away from you. And that fuels you on to the next stage. So it really depends where in the industry you want to get to. If you want to go for gold and reach the highest you can possibly reach before you die, then I would suggest following the advice in this video. These are best practices which you can implement at any stage. Sometimes even if you're an expert, you might have forgotten about a couple of things. Or if you're a brand new beginner, this is way more advice than I got when I was starting out, and I did all right. So if you follow this, you're probably going to do better, way better than I did. I'm still quite embarrassed that it took me 8 years to get from the start of arts college to MTV and VH1. Some people say that's fast. But I know the mistakes that I committed along the way which took me off track, some of which I've shared in this video. And so I know that if I had not made those mistakes, this could have been a lot quicker. If I had a video like this when I was starting out, that 8 years would have been 4. And a lot less financial headaches along the way, a lot less name calling from peers, a lot less questioning from your own family members, like, hey, is this music thing going to work or is it not going to work? So yeah, I hope you really take the advice in this video to heart and really get set and go on your music path and don't hold back. Hey friends, hope you're well. This is Zephyr, the founder of Modern Recording Artist. The video I want to share with you today is about making professionalism a habit right from the start of your music career or wherever you are now in your career when you're watching this video. I'll talk a little bit more about myself and why I started Modern Recording Artist at the end of this video because I want to jump into the content right now. And so let's keep this as short as possible, as powerful as possible, and as valuable as possible for you guys. I know musicians are busy people. It doesn't always have to be that way. It doesn't always have to be a struggle. So I'll talk more about that in other videos. But of course, for now, let's jump into this topic. Whether you have 1 stream on Spotify or 1 billion streams, whether you have 10 album downloads from your website where people paid you, or you are at Beyonce's level selling out concerts and concert tickets and so on, whichever level you're at, it pays to view things professionally and to do things professionally, to sign contracts, to make work orders clear, as clear as you can. Obviously, we are all creative people, so sometimes, we go a little bit in different places. But for example, now imagine you are a typical musician. You're paying some bills, you're playing some gigs, you're recording some things. Nowadays, Corona, so it's live stream. Whatever, the point is it's still a gig in a sense, right? Let's say you write a song with your girlfriend, and you guys are drunk, it's after dinner, you're writing a song, you're both musicians, the song comes out, the next day you start recording it, and you don't do any paperwork at all. Now, fast forward, 3 years later, it has 1 million streams on Spotify. It's getting a lot of views, the video on YouTube. You are actually playing shows where you're performing this song. It's on the radio. Now, you have a lot of royalties, a lot of money, and a lot of different things to juggle and collect. But if you haven't done the paperwork for this, it's going to be a bit of a mess, sorting things out between you and your girlfriend. It can get even more complicated. Let's say you and your girlfriend or boyfriend broke up. Let's say you're not girlfriend, boyfriend, let's say you're just collaborators, but you had a fight somewhere 2 years down the road. We're all human, fights can happen, this is normal. It's normal, real human life. This can happen. And if you didn't do any paperwork and you didn't lay the paperwork, then starting to ask each other, oh, how much of the copyright do I get? How much royalties do you want? Blah, blah, blah. All these things can drive you and the other person nuts. If they're more than 2 people, even more complicated. So that's why you should just start right at the start. And if you go like, oh, right now, I'm a beginner, I'm starting out, I only have 10 streams on YouTube, I only have 20 streams on Spotify, which is normal because you're a beginner. I've been there. Some of my songs are still there, all the other songs perform better. So saying that, oh, I will start to act like a professional once I have 1 billion streams, that is a trap and it's a problem. Because chances are, if you do things your way right now, which is a sloppy way, and you keep proceeding in a sloppy way, and eventually, somehow, through your connections and talent and skills, you do become famous, you do reach 1 billion views or whatever, you do have a lot of money on the table, whether it's billion views or even just songwriting for other people, whatever it might be, those habits will carry forward with you, and removing those habits after you're famous, it's almost unheard of. It happens when people go through rehab and therapy and fix their life, but it's almost unheard of, from going from a beginner place to a good place up here and changing the habits, because you will have positive reinforcement, because your results will tell you, whoa, this is working, I should just keep doing what I'm doing. And you will usually keep doing what you're doing because you're looking at your results and going, yeah, what I'm doing is working. And those may be bad habits which will mess you up later at an even bigger stage of your career, but right now you're on easy streak, and so you're going like, oh, this is working, so I'm just going to keep doing it. And you keep working without contracts, and you keep working with bad work ethic, for example. You'll reach a high point in your career, and then you will crumble, because the habits won't see you through to the higher and higher stages, because at those stages people operate very, very differently. I've heard of people who are doing a lot of shows and a lot of gigs, and they don't know the first thing about how to write or sign a music contract. And I'm not just talking here about a record label contract or anything, the proverbial contract, not that, but just any contract, just like for this gig or show, can I sign this contract? The organizer asks you to sign a contract, and I've heard musicians actually say things like, whoa, I don't do contracts. That mindset and mentality can only get you so far. When you start to hit a slightly higher level of networking and acquaintances, there's just no way anyone's going to work with you without a contract. Now, the thing about habits is they can start to feel normal to you. So for a normal music career, the arc is about 0 to 10 years to get to a pretty good level. You guys can read this book called The Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell, which explains how much work it takes to go into something. But honestly, even without the book, if you just examine your own life, you would know that it takes about 10 years to get really good at something where you can do it in your sleep. For example, in 2009, I joined arts college, not knowing anything about music except how to play 2 songs on drums. That was it. And of course I listened to a lot of music, so that's that. By 2019, 10 years, people were coming to me. So when I started Modern Recording Artists, people coming to me for advice on how to mix a song, how to release a song, how to write a contract, which contracts to sign, which contracts not to sign, who to approach, how to network, how to brand, and so on and so forth. And I was not having difficulty answering any of these questions because I had put in the time to fully understand it. And those were some hard years of a lot of stuff, which I'll describe in more videos, because a lot of you are somewhere at the beginning stage of your journey. Now, the thing with habits is, if you formed a habit over 10 years of this climb, by the time you reach the end of those 10 years, you will think that that stuff that you're doing is normal. And God forbid, if those were bad habits that you have, but then you got there because you have another couple of good habits that got you there, by the time you get there, you'll think the bad habits are normal. For example, you might think like not doing paperwork is normal in the music industry, because you're thinking, hey, this is an example, you might be thinking like, hey, it's music, I'm active, I play the drums, I play my guitar, I sing, I show up, people love me, they hug me, we take pictures, we put it on Instagram, I get a song released, I pay somebody, get a music video made, the music video is now on MTV, I'm a star. What paperwork? Paperwork is for corporate people. And then you have your first conversation with a major label or a good distributor or publishing administration company, and they look at you like, and you go like, yo, I don't sign contracts, They might be like, what's up with this person? So you might think that that's normal, but that's not normal as far as any industry is concerned. So, that's the worst thing, when you end up at the top of the ladder and you go like, wait, what? Now I need to start doing this? I've never done this. See, that's an issue. So it's for you. You will feel the issue. It's not really an issue for anyone else, because they'll just ignore you and move on to the next artist. But I'm talking to you here. This is an issue for you, because you're going to find it very hard to change that habit. So it would be wise, even if you have not much music out, 1 song out, maybe you've just started your first rehearsal with your first band even, you are 10 years old. Or maybe you're like me, you started late, you're 19 and you're doing that. Or 18 or 17. Still, it would pay to really develop some good habits and research what are good habits in the first place, and I'll share more on this channel, and then really start to follow those and make those a part of your identity, so the systems are set. Now, when systems are set, when you're making a climb, it's very, very easy when you're cracking your head over the best chord for that hook or whatever. It pays, it really pays, mentally, emotionally, well-being wise, to really have amazing systems in place. So once you find that chord, you record the song, all the legal stuff is sorted, you already know what to do because you have a whole song release ecosystem in place. For example, I'm just giving you an example here. And then you know what to do, and then it becomes effortless. So the effort on your part is the creativity, which you like anyway because you're a creative person, and all the legal stuff, all the professional stuff, it's all sorted. It's a system now. It's just you don't run into headaches with that. How problematic would it be to have an album about to come out for your band? Let's say it's your first band, it's the first album, even a solo artist, and you have all these pieces that are not sorted. You don't know how to release the song. You don't know what a publishing administrator is. You're not signed up with a performing rights organization. You don't have a fan base yet. You don't have contacts. Your social presence is zero because you were too busy being a musician. And now you have all these songs, they're ready, the music videos are ready, and you're going to release it on a YouTube channel to crickets, and you're going to release it on social platforms to nobody being your friend on social media. You're in trouble. Unless you already know some pretty powerful people. Let's say you're the daughter of Jay-Z or something. Okay, that's a different scenario. But if you're watching this channel, it's likely you're trying to grow, you're trying to build, you're trying to learn something. So what would the pain point be? How painful would the pain point be if you have all this content ready and no one to release it to? It's quite heartbreaking because I've been there before, but then I've also had releases where I already know people and I just start talking to these people like, hey, I released a song, hey, I released a song, and everyone's like lapping it up. But then on the other hand, I've also been at the start at a stage where as a band, we had a song ready, we're excited to release it, and nobody's listening, and we're like, okay, like what are we doing wrong? So, so it'd be incredibly painful to reach the top of the ladder and have some of these things not figured out, bad habits or just habits that destroy you. Why would you want to do that? You want to uplift yourself. So yeah, I term that all under the one term, professionalism. So it pays to start the professionalism early, and then, as you work through your career, that serves you as opposed to destroying you. Now, professionalism doesn't mean you have to be rude or mean. It means you have to be clear. So you can still make out, you can still write a song drunk, you can still put it down in your door as a sketch or a demo one night, and then 2 mornings or 1 day later, whenever you recover from your hangover, start to text each other. It doesn't necessarily have to be a contract. You can just text each other and go, hey, so about this song we wrote, I'm planning to release it, but before we release it, let's work this out here. And as long as it's written, even on a text messaging app, and you take screenshots, you're fine. You can break down royalties, you can break down the copyrights, you can even break down marketing plans, like, I'll put it on this YouTube channel. Okay, great. So that's the one YouTube channel we're putting it on. I'll put it on this Facebook page. Great. I'll send it out to this email list, which I might or might not have. You should have one by now. I'll send it out to this media outlet. I'm friends with the owner. Okay. I'll send it out to my mom's school because she's a teacher. Maybe the kids would want to hear this song. Great. I would, so you come out with a plan, and as long as it's written down, it's great, because then when you approach an authority like a performing rights organization or a major label, or somebody wants to sync your music to a movie, or a new music video director wants to create an alternate version to build his portfolio and your portfolio, whatever happens, we have these details between the people who created it, right? So that's very, very important. The people who create the music have to be on the same page right from the start. Now, the next important part is that when you want or show interest towards writing down these things or creating these contracts, whichever method you're using, and somebody looks back at you and goes, or texts you back and goes, no, I don't do contracts, then I would recommend turning around and running very, very, very far from this person and not working with them professionally. By all means, don't lose them as a friend and a human being, right? Humanity is a separate thing. Still be their friend, but do not try to work with them, because, unless you really want to wreck your life 5 years from now, when that song that you release does become famous and people start clawing at you and going, oh, you released that song. Where's my cut? And you're like, yo, you didn't even reply. You said you didn't want to do contracts. What cut are you talking about now? They can still go to a lawyer, because legally speaking, as long as you wrote a song together, which, if I'm not mistaken, the definition is if you wrote it in a room together. So basically, I read this once from a very high up professional in the music industry. If 6 of you enter a room, 1 hour later, a song comes out of that room, technically, unless you have another agreement in place, that song belongs to all 6 of you. Even if it was your friend's girlfriend who was sitting there in the room, she also owns a bit of the song. Now, if she comes across this information, she might come after you to get a piece of that song once the song's released. It's possible. Of course, let's hope such a scenario does not happen, but that's why I'm saying you should write down who owns what songs, who owns them by how much, and you guys should both sign off on it, or more than 2 parties even. And this whole I don't sign contracts thing, it does not work in any other industry, and there's no reason it should work in the music industry. So if you're of the mindset, oh, we just come together, we jam, we create a piece, and we leave, and we release it, we push it out on my Spotify, and I'm too drunk to even care about the paperwork, you're not going to go very far in the music industry. And if there are people who you're working with, let's say you're not like that, but they're like that, I advise you to stop working with them immediately, or maybe educate them on these matters. Let them know, like, hey, I need you to get up to speed on all this stuff. Once you're up to speed, come back to me. Let's talk about the contract. If they still refuse, then you're clearly more of a professional than they are. It's time to let them go and work with other people. Trust me, there are a lot of music professionals worldwide who are talented, skilled, hungry, and excited to work with you. So you should go find them and work with them. I'm one of them. If you'd like to work on anything together, we can, but that's beyond the scope of this video. But my point is, there's hundreds of us around where you can, simple internet search will bring up professionals and you can work with them. So yeah, that's on the contracts bit, and why you should stay away from people who say they're not going to do contracts. At the start, when I was facing people like this, I would cling on to them because I would go, oh my god, like, that's the only gig I have for the month. So now if I don't take that gig, I don't have any music production gigs. Or if I don't work with this person, I don't have any songs to release right now, because I wasn't a songwriter yet, in a sense. So I was a drummer trying to put together songwriters and producers and singers, because I was ambitious, but I was only a drummer in the sense I did not have the capability to put the song together yet. So I would like claw at unprofessional people and try to work with them. And then this can happen to you. You may go like, yo, if I don't work with people who are unprofessional and who don't do contracts, I got nobody to work with. My advice to you then is don't work with anyone that month. Focus on your own craft and don't cling on to this stuff. So this started happening more and more. Like, I had a producer who I would pay who wouldn't deliver tracks. I had some musicians who wouldn't want to come on time, and then they'd call me arrogant for telling them that they're not on time. I had somebody who says, no, I don't do paperwork. Don't talk to me about all this paperwork shit. Then I started to think, man, is the whole music industry screwed? Or am I doing something wrong? What's going on? And then a few years later, which is a few years before now, I realized, oh, it's not that the music industry is screwed, it's that I was a beginner. So I was hanging around other beginners, and obviously in the beginner realm, there's all these attitudes, characteristics, and situations we come across. You start working with slightly more professional people, you become overjoyed. I was overjoyed, and I was like, wow, how come I didn't find these people before? And I realized, oh, it's because I didn't have a portfolio, and I wasn't good at anything yet, because when people would look around at me when I was a beginner, they'd be like, nah, I don't want to work with this guy, he's new. Now that I have a portfolio, a higher level of people want to work with you, with me and you, and then that's when you realize, oh, there are other professionals like me out there. And then you look at even higher levels, you're like, wow, these guys are like super professional. Not only are they talented and skilled, they also have their paperwork and everything sorted out. It's like that. It's so quick, you will be caught off guard. You, who thinks that you're more professional than those people at the beginner level, will be caught off guard, because it's just at another different level. So this is about levels. So I would recommend you don't work with someone like that. Rather than work with them, pull your hair out, have headaches, sleepless nights, be like, oh, I paid this producer $2,000, why is he not replying to my text? And all this rubbish. So I would recommend not working with anyone at that stage and just working on your craft. Build up your portfolio. Even if that year you work with 5 professionals versus 50 unprofessional people, those 5 professional projects on your portfolio at the end of that year, on your website, on your socials, will look much better than working with 50 unprofessional people and the habits they bring to the table. You will just be taken more seriously by the rest of the industry at higher levels than you, which is where you want to go, assuming your goal is to climb. And I think it is. That's why you might be watching this channel and other channels like this, and other teachers and educators. So I'll give you an example. So someone recently approached me and they had not checked out all my work and they were just approaching me as a friend because they liked what I was posting on social media. And she said, hey, I'd love you to, mix and master this song. I've worked with the composer and slash producer. It's mostly done. They sent me about 10 stems, 10 individual tracks. This was verbal. She said things like, I pay all my collaborators. You can ask any of them. I have a YouTube channel. I pay them. I pay my actors. I've never not paid on time. I'm generous, and this is great. This is music to my ears. Then she says things like, we have 5 months to finish this, so there's a lot of time. Again, music to my ears. But then she also says things like, I'm really picky about the sound. And then she talks to me about strangers who I don't know, who she's tried to work with, and she said, this person was showing me attitude, and this person previously messaged me saying, I need to be paid for my work, and I felt like he was showing me attitude. And I was like, really? That's attitude? That a creative wants to be paid? And she was like, yeah, but I don't want to be a bitch, and I don't want to do that. Now, when somebody tells me that, like, I don't want to be a bitch, that tells me that they can be a bitch. They have the propensity, they have the capability to be a bitch. That's not something you tell someone new who you're trying to work with. Then she said, I said, well, actually there's nothing wrong with somebody telling you that they need to be paid, because on social media you just meet strangers. So it's okay to state your terms at the start. It's great. And she was like, yeah, but he said that to me, Zephyr. I am known to pay everyone. And I'm like, well, how would he know that about you if he's never met you before and never worked with you before? Obviously, for the first time, you got to state your terms. So, there was these things that she was saying which we could work with, but then she was also all these red flags. And so in my head, that was straight away ding, 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 what I like to call yellow alarms, where your intuition and your skills and your unconscious mind, your subconscious mind will tell you, like, get this done. And it was straight away telling me, get a contract done, simple, straightforward. Because 5 months, while it's a long time to work on a mix and master, it's actually a bit too long. I could get that mix and master done in a week of solid work, 4 or 5 hours a day. Some mixing mastering engineers could get done quicker in a day or two. I just don't like to burden myself with working 8 hours listening to music nonstop. It's bad for the ears, bad for the health. More on that on my other health YouTube channel, which you can find linked below on this channel's page. In my head, it was like, yo, this lady is saying 5 months to submit this, but she's also saying she's very picky about the sound. She's told me she's controlling about the sound. She's told me she doesn't like to be a bitch, which basically tells me all those things can happen. Why would a person who's not a bitch or has never been in a situation where she can be bitchy say, I don't want to be a bitch? That sentence just won't come out of their mouth. The fact that it's coming out means it's somewhere in her conscious or subconscious, and it can happen. So I was like, let me just send her a contract, straightforward. I'll tell her the work will be delivered by this date. The payments are this much. After how many revisions, this much more pay per revision. And I even threw in a bonus of asking her what the quality of the sound she wants, because usually professionals, sometimes, about half the time, mixing and mastering engineers, you go to them for their sound. They don't need to ask you, would you like your song to be warmer or brighter? Would you like more bass or less bass? But I do that for my clients sometimes, especially if it's a creative collaboration like she said it was. It was not just a dead-end service, like, here's my tracks, give me back a good mix at your level. It wasn't that. It was more of a collab. So I put that into the contract too. I send it to her. She replies back with, yo, we are making this more confusing than it needs to be. I don't sign contracts on collaborations. I don't sign contracts at our level. I only sign contracts with major labels because there's more work to be done. And they really want to push you and drive you to get this completed. And I was like, and then she starts telling me about who she's paid and how much she's paid for her music projects. I'm like, yo, if all that were true, why wouldn't you commit that to paper? The fact that you can't commit that to paper shows a lot. It shows a lot about what you're actually saying out of your mouth. Frankly, I would prefer someone who signs it and talks less. It's just simple. They're putting, their money where their mouth is, so to speak. So yeah, now this is not to say that if you sign a contract, it's foolproof. I have people who've had signed contracts that I've created for a deal with us, and they run away, and they're just not contactable. And in Singapore, depending on the country you're watching this from, but in Singapore, it's roughly, and I've asked my lawyer friends, roughly about 5,000 to get a lawyer to do anything for even a small claim like that, about 2-3K or 3 to 4 songs or whatever it might be. And I'm like, there was once this guy owed me $3,000, and I'm like, why would I get a $5,000 lawyer to get back $3,000? That doesn't make any sense, which basically means he successfully run away from the contract. So then you might ask, why even sign a contract? Well, it's an additional layer of safety and it's just personal commitment. So if somebody shows you that, yes, I'm willing to put this down in writing and sign it, it shows you that they're serious. Now, if you're serious about your music career, you must work with people like this. There's no way you're going to do well. It's like kind of saying, I want to become a pilot in the Air Force, but instead of signing up at the academy where they train these pilots, I'm going to go fly paper airplanes as a hobby on Saturday. You can, of course, and that's a nice hobby. Well, more power to you. But are you going to wind up being a pilot in the Air Force by flying paper airplanes on Saturday? I don't think so. It's not going to happen. And that's not just me who thinks so. Ask your dad, ask your mom, ask your spouse, ask your kids about this, ask your teachers, ask your friends at school, depending on your age, whatever your age is when you're watching this video. That's not going to happen. So it's the same thing. So if somebody's not able to commit what they say, like, hey, I'll mix 6 tracks for you, and you send them a contract, or usually they would send you a contract if you're paying them, but if you send them a contract, let's say you have your own label, you like to brand that way, you send them a contract, you will deliver 6 tracks by this date, I will pay you how much by this date, the work, and so on and so forth, other work specifications, and they go, no, I'm not going to sign that. And you're paying them a nice fee and they've agreed to it, they were smiling when they were talking, the moment you show them a contract with exactly what they were talking, and they refuse to sign that, chances are they're bullshitting you when they're talking, or they're just really scared of contracts and they're really scared of the industry. But honestly, that level of fear, even if they're going to do the work, that level of fear also shows that they're not ready for serious work. I would stay clear of those people as well, unless like in their past they had some trauma about signing contracts. Fair enough, but rather weird. I'm not saying that can't happen. It can happen. We're all human. Anything can happen. So don't immediately classify them in your head as weird, or like this is a bad person, or this person's trying to scam me. Not necessarily. They might just be afraid of contracts. Fair enough. But you have to ask yourself, is that where you want to be? Do you want to if this means so much to you, do you want to be working with people where out of 10 work deals, 8 deals are shaky? Personally, I'm not that type of person. With my hobbies, I'm definitely that type of person. I'm very creative. Somebody, if I'm learning about eagles or animals, somebody goes, come to this forest on this date at this time, we'll spend 6 hours there. Even if they're a stranger from Facebook and I've been chatting with them for a bit, let's say it's a relatively safe country, don't go there and get murdered or anything, I would show up. I would show up, even without a contract, even without anything else. I'd show up just based on trust, but that's my hobbies. I don't rely on that stuff to pay me or put food in my daughter's mouth. That's a very different equation. So you've got to decide what this music thing is for you. If it's an after job thing, it's an exploration at this stage, sure, then maybe you can try to work with this person. Best case scenario, you get all your songs or whatever you're agreeing to work on. Worst case scenario, you learn a lesson. But honestly, the reason I made this video is so that you don't have to learn that lesson firsthand. You can save that time and accelerate your career. That's the point of this channel, to share the mistakes and journeys that I went through so you don't have to go through that. So yeah, hopefully that helps you out. So another way that being professional helps is when people above you in the industry are looking down at you and they're looking for the next up and coming artist or just collaborator they can work with, whatever level you want to look at this at, whether this is like a So You Think You Can Dance competition or a American Idol or a Britain's Got Talent or so when other people are looking at you from the top down, when they're looking for the next person to collaborate with, or the next person to groom, or the next competition winner, whatever scenario this is, it doesn't necessarily have to be a very big thing. Even something small, like let's say I'm a producer and I'm looking for the next artist. Let's say I have some free time this month. I just want to put out one more track, which is a collaboration with a new rapper. Cross-marketing, good views for him, good views for me. We market to each other's audiences, that kind of thing. For example, and of course there could be bigger, more bombastic examples as well. Like let's say Simon Cowell's trying to scout you or whatever. So when they look down, and this has happened several times in my career when I did a bunch of things. I did acting on primetime TV, I did modeling, I did music, of course. I organized events for creatives in my arts college and outside a music festival. I rounded up like the top 50 acts I could over 2 days. There was a good time in Singapore. And so all these different things, when they look and they see like, okay, who's the next person we can work with, who's sort of a beginner, so their rates will be cheap, they love that, but they're also professional, and they're also really clean cut, and they're talented and skilled. And then you pop up in the sea of people going like, I'm a beginner, but pretty good at this beginner level and professional. And I don't charge too much. That's the perfect confluence of all these different factors for them to pick you and go, okay, we want to work with you. So that's happened to me several times. Yes, a lot of the work I did was hard work and reaching out to people, but there were a couple of times where people reached out to me, and that was just like icing on the cake. That was just like, I was like, wow, they reached out to me? Like, what? Part of my brain, which is still a bit shy and is a bit, like all creatives, we don't really like to share too much about what we do. That part of my brain's going, why is this happening? How is this happening? It's not possible. It must be a dream. Another part of my brain's going, of course, I have put out all this work and this branding and stuff, so no wonder it's working. So obviously they're gravitating towards me. So there's these two things, and it becomes a beautiful journey as you journey through, always with this beginner mindset, but also being professional. So one of the things that happened was a very big music producer in India reached out to me on Facebook. He's the producer of probably the most well-known legacy singer in India. Ask any Indian about her and they know her name. So, and she's appeared in, I think she's recorded vocals for over like 100, 200 movies maybe. So he reached out on Facebook and is like, hey bro. And I was like, did he just call me bro? Like, wow, what a chill dude, and he says, I'd like you to translate. So the Indian president was having a campaign because India, a large part of India is still under the poverty line or something along those levels. I'm sorry if I'm misrepresenting the facts. I'm not too sure about India. I was born there, but I didn't live there past my first 8 months of life. So there was a campaign where they wanted to bring better sanitation and better toilets, for lack of a better word, to the entire country. And it was a whole campaign. And there was a theme song for the campaign, and he reached out to me and said, we need you to facilitate the translation of this song into Mandarin and Burmese. And wouldn't you have it, the universe just aligned at that point, because the biggest pop stars in Burma, one of their family members went to arts college with me in Singapore, and we became friends. And so she was like my best friend because we were both the underdogs. She couldn't really play guitar at that point, and I couldn't really play drums, and people made fun of us all the time. Also, we had a different skin color than the rest of the majority in Singapore. And so we just sort of clicked, you find your own people and you click. So for those reasons, we clicked. And then, we became friends. And so I said, yeah, hey, there's this project that's come through for translation. Can I have your dad do it? Her dad is like the biggest rock star in Burma. And she was like, of course, let's talk the rates and all that. We talked about all that. I added a little bit of a rider on top, obviously, because I got to make money from this work. And then I sent the rate back to the music producer in India. And he went, yeah, let's do it. And so I was like, awesome. That was like too easy. And so that's just one of the things that has happened in my career where, people just find you. So on most days it feels like a slog. It's like, oh, I'm posting on social media again. Yeah, it's nice because I'm artistic, so I get to do up the graphics, so that's creative. But again, looking at a device, again, looking at a screen, again, posting, it's tiring. These things can tire you out. And but then the universe like kind of opens up, and then they see like, yo, I need a music producer. Several times people have searched me out on Facebook. They were like, yo, I'm looking for a producer for my film. I want you to craft the whole score for my film. And I was like, thanks, but I'm not capable of doing that yet. At that stage I wasn't. I still don't think I am. I think we need to give respect to the different parts of the industry and different skills that we might not be that skilled at, that other people are more skilled than us at. And while you do have an outgoing nature and want to explore, you can't just position yourself as a film scoring pro if you're not, because it's apparent very quickly. Just the other day I was looking back at a film score that I did a couple of years back for this project that's still unreleased, one of Singapore's best actors. It was a private pet project of his, and I was listening to the music, and I was like, which I had done along with another friend, I was like, wow, that sounds really bad. It sounds like a kid did it. And I was a kid doing it at that point because I wasn't good at that. So anyway, people like that have reached out, and people like this Indian producer man reached out, and so these are things that happen, and then that was just money, just real money for a simple facilitation project. I didn't even touch the music. I was just sending emails back and forth, and I got paid. That was a nice, sweet feeling, and that month I was able to look at my parents and go, yo, look, music pays, because a lot of us have that thing where we're trying to convince our parents or family that music pays and all that. I totally understand that. Living in Singapore, which is one of the most expensive cities on the planet, I definitely understand that. So, it's not a game, it's not a joke, but yeah. So branding yourself well like that will help people above you look down at you and look at the professionalism and go like, yeah, like we want to work with this person. So, you know, there's this chapter in this book I read which says, say no to the good and yes to the great. So it might feel like, hey, I'm pushing off all these projects because the people around me, you know, they're not approaching me because they might think like you're like arrogant for branding so well or looking so professional. And that's okay. Like I said earlier in the video, you lose 10 of these mediocre projects, but you get 2 really good projects for that year. And those become just lines in your resume that no one can ever take away from you. And that fuels you on to the next stage. So it really depends where in the industry you want to get to. If you want to go for gold and reach the highest you can possibly reach before you die, then I would suggest following the advice in this video. These are best practices which you can implement at any stage. You know, sometimes even if you're an expert, you might have forgotten about a couple of things. Or if you're a brand new beginner, this is way more advice than I got when I was starting out, and I did all right. So if you follow this, you're probably going to do better, way better than I did. I'm still quite embarrassed that it took me 8 years to get from the start of arts college to MTV and VH1. You know, some people say that's fast. But I know the mistakes that I committed along the way which took me off track, some of which I've shared in this video. And so I know that if I had not made those mistakes, this could have been a lot quicker. If I had a video like this when I was starting out, that 8 years would have been 4. And you know, a lot less financial headaches along the way, a lot less name calling from peers, a lot less questioning from your own family members like, hey, is this music thing going to work or is it not going to work? So yeah, I hope you really take the advice in this video to heart and really get set and go on your music path and don't hold back. Another thing that happens when you're professional is that they go like, okay, I can work with this person because it reminds them of their level of professionalism. But if you come there with your bad habits, then we have an issue, because not only are you a beginner and you don't have very good sound, and I'm talking about music here because this is a music channel, you don't have many abilities in the sound space, or you have green abilities in the sound space, but you also have these bad habits. So then for them, working with you becomes a headache. But if you're new and you have good habits, that's it's a plus for them because they can groom you. So you've done what you can do at your level, and now you're very professional about it and you're ready for the next level. So they view it as, okay, I can groom this person, or I can lead this person, or I can order this person around or give orders to them because I'm in charge. You know, so whether you're joining as a staff member, as an intern, as a coffee boy or girl, or as a head music producer for the event, or whatever you're joining as, if you're one level lower, they're not just going to look at your ability, they're also going to look at your professionalism. So they're not just going to look at your website or where you put the music samples, they're also going to look at your social media. And if they're a person, for example, who doesn't smoke, let's say it's a clean music environment, no smoking allowed, and they look at your Instagram, first 6 pictures, you smoking, they're not going to hire you. And I'm like, yeah, I'm done with smokers, thanks so much. They're not going to hire you. It's as simple as that. Personal preference of theirs. Of course, there could be a heavy smoker and be like, oh, this is a party, let's hire them. You know, that could happen too. It depends. Depends who you're trying to work with. So you would also try to find people similar to you to work for, and they would also start to pick people who are bringing out that feeling of professionalism and work environment that they usually have, which in the corporate terms is called a good fit. So they're obviously going to be looking for a good fit. Hey guys, so I hope you enjoy those tips. I hope it brings a little bit of value to you. My name is Zephyr, and I started Modern Recording Artist to really share my journey and help other people do nice things in the music industry, release songs, learn about production, learn about good habits, learn about good practices. For me, I went from someone who was called tone deaf in the first year of arts college to having my own first fully self-produced song. The music video for that song we played on MTV and VH1 about 30 times in just 8 years. And so I think I've done some things right, and I'd like to share those things. And of course, I've done many things wrong, and those were the mistakes, and that's where I learned from. And so I'd love to share those here as well. So those of you watching here don't have to make those mistakes yourself, and you realize that your path gets really, really easy if you enact this stuff. I've helped musicians in person through one-on-one coaching, in groups. I've advised really young kids, up-and-comers, about their music journey and career. I've collaborated with a few people, and now I'm collaborating with more, creating new songs and releasing them in different genres. I don't believe in constricting to one genre. And you can find that on my website, which is my first name, lastname.com, which I'll link in the description below. Depending on when you're watching this video, there might be a few songs there or a lot of songs there as I progress through my music career. But my focus is to slowly build out this channel and platform to share with you everything in a candid, first-hand manner and really be the teacher and friend that I didn't have when I was coming up through the music industry in Singapore. Yes, there were a few kindred souls who helped a little bit along the way here and there, but really there was no roadmap. There was no buddy, even in arts college, who said do this, then this, then this, then this, then this. I had to figure that out myself through a lot of trial and error, and now I've been getting divine signs and guidance. More on that on my other channel, by the way, the divine stuff and spirituality and health and all that. That's on 3-Part Human, where I share my journey about health and spirituality and life as well. A lot of those tips might be useful to you. You can check out that channel. It's also linked at the bottom of this YouTube channel, but if not, it's 3 THREE part PART human HUMAN.com, where you can find blogs, videos, and other things to help you along your journey and your life as well. I'm based in Singapore. I'm open for collaborations, and if you need me to give a talk at your company or school, I've done that as well in several different spaces, the music space, the mindfulness space. Hit me up and let's work something out. And for those of you who are musicians and are trying to advance on your path, I really wish you the best of luck. I hope this video has brought you some joy, some laughter, some realizations like, whoa, okay, I didn't know that. That would be my dream, to help you and give you lessons quickly on stuff instead of having you like make the mistakes I made and fall and yeah, achieve a successful path. So thanks so much. Have a great day ahead. My name is Zephyr. If you found this video useful, please like it. Please click subscribe, and I'm not sure the speed at which I'm going to be releasing these videos, but it won't be too frequent. So if you like a nice little reminder or lesson once again, if you like a nice little reminder again and again, and a new lesson in your YouTube notifications, click the bell icon next to the subscribe button, and yeah, hopefully release some good music and we all get to hear it in the community. There is a Facebook group for my paid clients. I'm gonna see if I can open up an open community as well for all of us to discuss different things and share contacts and ideas and so on. So thanks so much and have a really great day ahead. My name is Zephyr and I love you guys. Thank you and bye-bye. Alright, say hello everyone.
Hello everyone.
Welcome to Modern Recording Artist.
Recording artist.
Modern Recording Artist. Okay, have a nice day.
Have a nice day. Bye.
I love you.
Love you.
Flying kissy.
Flying kissy.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.